Hello everyone, welcome back to my Let's Replay channel. Once again, this is Andrew T coming at you, and this is my vlog review of 3 games this time. Not 1, not 2, but 3. So we're going to be reviewing Theme Park, Game Dev Tycoon, and brand new, not brand new, but pretty new game called Transcendence. So always we're going to go in order from when I did the videos. So the first one is going to be Theme Park. Theme Park is something that I played when it first came out and just loved. I mean, Bullfrog has been doing great stuff back then. So I was really excited whenever I first got this game back in the mid-90s. I believe it was 1994 was the actual time the game came out. And there was SimCity back then. You know, they had the original SimCity where it was a top-down view, and you got to kind of see, you know, the simulation for fun aspect of a game. But Theme Park took it like, oh my gosh, this is what you really wanted. But since it was British humor, then it was really quirky and really just, okay, we're not going to go the whole simulation portion of it. We're going to go with the humor portion and have the simulation portion be a part of it, but you don't realize it because you're having such a good time doing all these things. The graphics are pretty much what they are. You know, the user interface is still good to this day. The only problem right now is that the speed is way too high, and I don't know any way to turn it down. I didn't find anything. Like, you could see the video, I was finding out everything again for the first time. You know, I knew I was going to pretty much lose that one after I figured out, oh, I don't know how to research anything. But yeah, the speed is so much faster because, like I said, back then they just said, oh, the computers only go this fast, so we're just going to make it to run at whatever speed your PC is at that for that year. And, you know, the processing power is so much higher on PCs these days. It's like, you can't really do that. There's almost no time to make a decision in these games. And back then you had like minutes between weeks to just kind of, you know, all right, put your pass down, put everything down, you know, get all your stuff done, and then look at your inputs and outputs and how much money you're making and how much was going into this and that. I'm like, all right, and then, you know, the week would be over. I'm like, all right, let's do something else. Let's get another item. So instead of carefully planning, this was more of a replay of, oh, I gotta go. I gotta keep getting stuff done. But because I didn't research anything, I kind of shot myself in the foot. But if I had to replay it again, I'd probably do a little bit better. But the speed is still an issue for me because even if I know I'm doing the next time, I don't think I would play it again because the nostalgia is still there. But once you go through every single one of the rides, and there's some animations for the rides too, so you have little cutscenes. It's not like Roller Coaster Tycoon where you can actually get in your roller coaster, but you know, this was pretty much the thing that gave it its idea of, oh, we have little cutscenes for you being on the ride, but you know, that's how pretty much what started was this game for everything Roller Coaster Tycoon or any theme park, you know, game that come out since then. This is pretty much the godfather of it. So graphics, like I said, for the type of game it is, they've aged decently well, especially since it's over 20 years old. It's like a 25-year-old game at this point, which is insane when you think about it. 94. Anyway, so the UI is still good. You know, it's very simple. Once you learn everything in it, though, the tutorial is a little bit lacking, but like it's made to be played multiple times. And I even had it on easy. It's just, like I said, I didn't have enough time to do anything. The characters in there are really cool, from the mascots to the people you hire, to the in-game stuff that comes on later. Like, oh, once you start getting really big, competitors try to send in spies to, you know, take your park design, and so to try to take your business away. So that's something really cool to kind of keep you coming back and have another element other than just you trying to make money. Because once you have the formula down, you can make money, but you know, to keep those things fresh and going later on towards the end game. And you saw how many cities there were on the map. Like once you get to, what was it, I think Japan was like 20 million to have a Japanese theme park. Whew. Yeah. That's the end game right there. So this was a game that you could not only pick up and play back then for fun, but also have something you can go towards just for your own personal like scoreboard. So if I had to give it a nostalgia and replay score, I'd give it a 5 out of 10, just because like I said, the graphics pretty much are what they are. The cutscenes, they're not horrible, but they are pretty pixelated by this day's standards. So you enjoy them for what they are. But the problem we ran into the first time is the problem we could run into this time replaying is that once you've seen the cutscenes for every ride the first time, it's like, oh, I've seen it already. There's nothing really more to do there once you've unlocked all the rides. And you can, like I said, once I started researching, I started unlocking stuff like back to back to back to back to back. I was like, I can't even afford to put this stuff down, but I'm still researching it somehow. So, yeah. So for replayability, you can definitely, that's what got it pretty much a 5 and saved it, because graphics for the cutscenes don't stand up. The graphics for the game are serviceable, even over 20 years later. User interface is still good, even for its time. Once you kind of figure it out, it's very good for what it is. And then the characters and the humor is all there, but the thing that kind of just kept it down at a 5 and didn't get anything higher was because there's no really way that I saw to fix the speed issue. So unless you want to play fast and loose and have a whole spreadsheet of what you're going to do every time, because you have to mouse left and right and up and down to move the screen, you can't use any keyboard or anything to move the screen other than that. It takes too long to get anywhere and do anything. So it's good to play for nostalgia's sake. If you can pick it up for I think it was $2.99, $3.99 on sale, then why not? It's a good to play a couple hours of it and then just kind of put it away and bring it out for a rainy day. So that's my score for Theme Park for just nostalgia review purposes here. The next one is going to be Game Dev Tycoon. Now, everyone and their mother played this when it first came out on all the Let's Play channels, just because it's video game based and started in the 80s, the golden age, video games when everything, after the crash, everything first started getting back up and running again, with PCs and, Commodore 64s and Macintoshes, and you got the original NES and the Atari 2600, all those other precursors to the, modern video game age. It's like, oh, you can make games for this now. So kind of figuring out what works with what. When I got that first 999 and 10, it was like, that's what keeps you coming back. You want to get that feeling again because they give it to you pretty much if you know a little bit about video games, they pretty much give it to you on the first run through, just like I had. Like every Let's Play I saw as well had one of those. Oh, I got a 999 out of 10, and you're always trying to capture that again. So it's a little bit like gambling in that once you get that first jackpot, you're always chasing it after that, even though you may not get back to it because you can't use that combo again. But for the user interface, it's very intuitive. It's very clean. Graphics are decent for just a game done by a little indie studio. It's their very first game. The gameplay mechanics of it are very well done, and they did a lot with a little. So you basically have a static background for everything. You may have something move every once in a while in the later stages, but you have your characters move, and when you hire other people and get a bigger space, those people move around every once in a while. They're the same animations, but what you're really looking at is those bubbles coming up with the numbers on it. How many numbers are going to be this time? How many numbers are going to be that time? Are there any bugs going? Is my game finished its run yet? Stuff like that. That's what you're concerned about, and that's what keeps you coming back. Just one more game. I'll just make one more game. Oh, I got to do some research. Oh, I got to do this. I got to make a new. So it keeps you invested. It's very, very good at doing that, keeping you invested in your game, in your choices, and in your company that you're making. So I did the very bare bones of it. I basically got an option to get to another studio after I made my first $1 million. I had like $2.9 million at the end. I almost hit 3, almost. But Yeah, so the graphics, the gameplay, the UI, they're all just for, especially for the studio's first ever game. Like you saw those pop-ups when it was coming up. Thank you for playing the game. It's our first game ever. I'm like, seriously? Like, this was just a really good and really fun game to play. And the replayability, this was a Let's Replay channel. The replayability is so high because you can try different combinations over and over and over, starting over. And every time you go bankrupt, you take the DeLorean back straight to the beginning again. So I was like, all right, let's learn from what we did before and go back again. So I'd say for this one, it's not that old. It's only a couple years old, I believe. But for replay score and a little bit of nostalgia as well, just because of the genre and the nostalgia of actually seeing, you know, the games and the references, you know, Nintendo instead of Nintendo coming out like that. Then it was definitely I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10, just because it's not AAA, so it's never going to be 9 or 10. It's static screen, so it's not going to have those, you know, graphical overhauls that you're used to. There's, for the replayability, once you've kind of done all the, there is a lot of replayability, but once you've kind of seen everything and you kind of know how to, you know, if you go online to get a strategy guide or anything like that, you kind of know what to do after the first couple of playthroughs. So you're just going through, and you know what to expect at that point. So that's why it's a 7. It's above average. I'd definitely say pick it up, especially for if it's on sale. I think it's like $3.99 on Steam, on the Steam sale. It was one of the highest on the specials. I think it was like number 1 or 2 for a while. But very fun. For the price, it is very good to pick up and just play, especially if you're a video game oldie like me. If you're in your 30s and you grew up in the 80s era, and those were kind of your wheelhouse back then, from PC games to Nintendo to, you know, Genesis to anything on, you know, going forward. So I would definitely recommend it. All right, and for our last game here is going to be Transcendence. I love space sim games, especially if you saw my Rebel Galaxy playthrough and review. I beat Rebel Galaxy because I love the space sim where you go around, you do missions, you go to hubs, you can have cargo and, you know, action and adventure and storyline all in one thing. That I love games like that. This is a little bit like Rebel Galaxy, except from a top-down view instead of you know, isometric, you know, third person behind your capital ship, because you just start out with a fighter in this one. And they do have upgrades from what I saw. Like the very first area said, hey, we don't upgrade to level 3. I was like, well, okay, I just went to the next area without really, you know, clearing out the first one first, because I probably could have got a little bit more money. But you saw the very first mission I picked up in the second area, I got, you know, 20 times the money I got for any missions in the tutorial. So I got 5,000 credits. I was getting like 300 credits for the missions I was doing before. So, you know, it's definitely good progression in that. The graphics for what it is, it's just a nice 2D top-down game are serviceable. Especially the gate graphics were surprisingly good. The little oscillating sphere, you know, sphere lines going back and forth, you know, between each other. I was like, all right, that's not bad. The thing I didn't like so much though is that the momentum. I bet you there's an option to just kill your momentum at any time. But when you're playing a game like this and you're got the asteroid controls, basically, if you don't know what asteroid is, look it up. Where your momentum carries you through. You have a top speed, but when you're trying to attack everything, the easiest thing to do, especially with the AI in this, I learned to exploit it real quick, was just back up and just let them run into your lasers. I didn't even have to use my missiles, because in the games like this, missiles cost money, and there's a finite amount of them, and once they're gone, they're gone. So I was like, all right, just keep lasers on, and you know, just kind of kite them as you're backing up into your lasers, and that's easy enough for, you know, the beginning area to kind of get through. So I like the fact that even though I was a gunship, I had a lot of cargo space. So when I actually get a place to sell all that stuff, I can actually get more money out of it and, you know, have my cargo hold free up again. I don't know about the armor or shield or the gun upgrades yet, but from what I saw, it looks like they're doing those right as well. So for the user interface, I'm really glad that the right mouse button turned out to be thrust, and the left mouse button was your primary weapon, your lasers or, you know, guns or whatever. And then if you want to do missiles, that's, you know, the left hand whatever button you key to that. And then everything from the keyboard going on, like the friendlies to the communications, that's all pretty much UI from Wing Commander. Because if you played as much as I did whenever you were in, you know, Privateer series, although that universe, when you did as much as I did when back in the day, that's second nature. You know, T for target, you know, F for friendly, just C for communications, A for autopilot, stuff like that. Just comes back to you like that. But if I had to give it a score, I have to give it around a 6 out of 10. It's because it's not nostalgic. This is just a straight game review out of my personal opinion. So take it for what it is. It changes slightly every time. I don't have a specific set of guidelines for all these reviews. I try to keep sort of consistent guidelines when it comes to replay games or games that I've seen play, that everyone's seen play. So that way, you know, for nostalgia stuff like that, you know, graphics, price, all that good stuff. But for games that are, you know, fairly new that I'm playing for the first time, I just gotta wing it. So I'd have to give it a 6 out of 10 just because for the price I paid was $15, and I don't know if I'm gonna get that much out of it. I'm enjoying it right now, and I like the progression it has right now. But the problem with these games is that usually when you get to a certain spot, you have to grind a lot. I don't know if that's what it is with this game yet, but without going to the end game for what I got for the price, for the graphics, for the storyline is bare bones right now. They put some thought into it in the missions and the story to give you some, but basically it's like go here, kill this, go here, defend that, you know, stuff like that. But so the universe, you don't really get a, other than the what was it, the goddess like cult or whatever you're involved in, where you get the vision. That same thing happened in Rebel Galaxy. You know, they just ripped it off from Privateer before, where you have an alien artifact and you got to figure out what it is. And this one's like, oh, you got to get the galactic core. It's like, yeah, it's not new, but it's definitely got my interest a little bit. But from the missions, they don't flesh them out a lot, which is kind of good because you want to kind of get in there, do the mission, and get back, and then, you know, keep going on to the next mission. So in that aspect, I kind of like it, but they could have fleshed out just a bit. So instead of like a 2-sentence, hey, you know, we got these marauders over here, these pirates, go get them, rather than, hey, you know, we've been harassed for a while, just expand it just a little bit, and that probably would have had me immersed a little bit more instead of just clicking through. It was like, all right, where do you want me to go kill now? Okay, you want to go kill these guys? All right. You know, and I didn't know if it was a repeating quest because I did it 3 times, and I was like, okay, finally got a new quest. And the first one, I didn't want to have to be a Fallout where we have another settlement that has to be rescued or protected. So all in all, I'm probably going to go back to the 2-game format, but I had all these 3 games. I knew there was going to be 2 pretty fast playthroughs for Theme Park and Game Dev Tycoons, and I wanted to try out Transcendence, and it was pretty fast for all 3. So all in all, pretty enjoyable day. It's now about 2:30 in the morning. I've got to get to sleep. So thank y'all so much for watching this. Once again, this is Andrew T coming at you, and y'all have a good one.